Hello, and welcome to Personal Finance. How do we manage our finance to be successful in life? If I sound depressed, it's because this is the second time I'm trying to do this, because the first time my headset got unplugged from being in the meeting. Anyway, let's just go over some things to see how to be successful financially. So a few things we'll cover is where do we start again? Let me double check my old thing. Right. How to earn money. If you want to have money, well, to start out, you have to get the money. Then we'll look at how to spend the money effectively. Then we'll look at how to save and invest money. And then, with the final stage of life, we'll look at briefly how to retire. So this is kind of your entire life. This is the human existence. Welcome to our cycle of money. So first thing is, how do we earn money? Obviously, you have to get a job or make your own business, whatever you want. But you have to get money somehow. So obviously, the more money you can get, the better. No matter how well you effectively spend and effectively save and invest, if you don't start with any money, the power of these will be reduced, right? You need money to make money. That's the sad fact of life. So to get a job, what do we do? Well, easiest way I recommend, go to university or college, some program that has a co-op program, get into the co-op program, make a good relationships at the company that you worked for. Hopefully you like that company. If you don't, then do another co-op somewhere else. And then as soon as you graduate, keep in touch with those guys and say, hey, hire me. And then hopefully you get a job right out the door. That's what happened for me. And other than that, it was quite hard to get a job. So definitely recommend co-op through school is a good idea. If you have your own business idea, that's great too, but it's risky, of course. So also we have to remember there's a balance in life. Earning money costs happiness. So remember, how happy will you be if you don't have a job? You can just play games all day, go traveling, do whatever you want. You'll be very happy. But to fund those things, we need money. So sadly, there's this balance we have to get where we want to work to get the money we want, but not too much, because we don't want to work too much and ruin our happiness. So there's a balance here. Sometimes people even can work multiple jobs, sacrificing happiness for money, whatever. Choose however you can do it. If you might find that you have more energy when you're younger, so it's a good time to sacrifice happiness for money. But also you might have more friends and stuff when you're younger, so that might be the best time to enjoy life. Whatever works for you. Other thing is, don't be afraid to change jobs. So look at me, for example. I went to Algonquin College when I was 18. I graduated. I got some crappy jobs. They made me a little bit of money. I used that money to go back to university, and then I got different jobs. The different job after that. The jobs I had after university were much better, much higher paying, much more stable, whatever. Oh yeah, the main point of this though, don't be afraid to change jobs. It's not only like a big career change or something. It's also just changing jobs is a good way to increase your salary. So me, for example, when I came out of university, I got a job at IBM. They were giving me raises like 2%, 4% each year, something like this. Let's say you make 100K just because that's the easy number to work with. That 2% raise is just $2,000. So that's 102,000 salary now, right? That's not bad. It's nice to get an extra 2,000. That's after tax. So it's actually much less than that, but it's a small number. Oops. When I switched jobs, I got over 10K raise. So just changing jobs, well, it's not a raise, but compared to my old job, right? So this is pretty common in the modern world, at least for my job industry. It might be different for different people, but for a lot of jobs, switching has to give you a raise, right? Because otherwise you won't switch. If the next company says, "Hey, I'll give you, the same thing you're already getting," you'll be like, "Well, no." So you just ask for more, and then either they reject you or they give you more. You're the one with the power there. So that's why it's easy to get more money when you switch jobs. Great. So also, the best time to look for a job is when you already have one. So, for example, I lost my job in early 2025. For 3 months, I didn't have a job. That's a really stressful time. I was applying to hundreds of per day and everything. You don't want to have to do that. If you think your job's in danger for some reason, just start looking for jobs. You can just be a slacker at your current job while you're looking for new ones. Even if you are happy with your job, you can still do this because of this, right? So you can just casually look for them. Like whenever you're bored, look to see what's out there. If you see something that looks nice, apply. If they never respond to you, who cares? You already have a job. So this is a good strategy if you're trying to increase your salary, or if you just don't like your job. Just don't. But before you get so tired that you quit, start looking for other things. So this is kind of basic. Earn more money. Not much more to say about that. Now, once we have money, let's look at what we should do with it in order to be effective. So first thing is spending money. Everyone has to spend money. It's mandatory. So how can we do that effectively? So obviously, do it in moderation. Don't waste your money too much. So this is another balance. What's the benefit of wasting money? It's fun and makes us happy. We like wasting money. But the negative is you have no more money, and then you got to go back and earn more at the cost of your happiness. So figure out a balance here. It's a self-control thing. For me, for example, I don't really need to make a budget because my personality is like I go to the grocery store, I see a bag of chips is $5, I want it, but I think about it and I say, you know what? If I eat that bag of chips, I'm going to feel like shit after, and I'm going to also spend $5 just to make myself feel like shit. So I just don't buy it. If you're someone that struggles with those kind of things and you compulsively buy unnecessary things, then maybe find a way to limit yourself by making a budget or something else. And of course, it's fine to buy unnecessary things sometimes. Just don't overdo it. That's the whole point of the do it in moderation thing. So the other thing is about spending money. Get free money back for spending money. Let's put some exclamation marks. So how do we do that? Well, credit cards. They are a huge benefit. But if you screw up, they are dangerous. So you absolutely should use credit cards, but you need to control yourself. So credit cards are basically a loan. And the bank or credit card company says, hey, I'll let you borrow up to, let's say, $5,000 limit. And you have to pay it back within 1 month. Otherwise, I'll start charging you interest. That's what they say. But they also say, we'll give you 2% back on your spending. It's not necessarily this, but every card is different. Personally, my card is exactly this. I get just a flat 2% back on my spending. So that's nice. So what's that mean? If you spend 10K in a year, put it all on your card, you get $200 back for free. Okay? So each year I just get $200 back for every 10K I spent. That's great. We want to do that. But credit card has a grace period. This means if you use your card, you take a loan to buy, let's say, a $10 chocolate bar. You have to pay that $10 back by next month's credit card bill. Otherwise, you start losing money on interest. So this is true of all of your purchases, so it adds up very quickly. So what's the interest rate? Well, let me show you. I think I have it here. This is, I'm using Scotiabank as an example because that's the bank I use. Let's look at the credit card Scotiabank offers. Interest rates, more than 20%, 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 right? Credit cards have insane interest rates. 20% is absurd. So 20%. In our example, if I spent 10K and didn't pay it back, now I'm paying an extra $2,000 per year on that debt. So I get $200 back for free, but I pay $2,000 back. So I end up spending $11,800. That's horrible. Because I've only got $10,000 worth of things. I spent an extra $1,800. That's not good. Do not do this. So how do we do this properly? Don't spend money you don't have. It's that simple. You can use the credit card for everything. Well, some things won't let you, like usually your rent, you can't do it. There's quick ways around it, but it's complicated. I don't bother. But pretend it's directly linked to your bank account and only spend what you can pay back in 1 month. So as long as you do this, you're just going to collect your free $200 a year, and that's nice. I don't think I've ever paid interest except maybe like a couple cents if I forgot something. So keep it that way. You can treat a credit card as like emergency money, but it's a pretty bad idea because look how much you're losing. Like and it can end up in a cycle, right? If you do that, now it's even harder to get out of the hole, and then the hole gets deeper, and it gets even harder to get out of that hole. So just don't go in the hole to begin with. Avoid it at all cost. Unless you're literally gonna die, then just don't do this. That's my opinion, anyways. So for spending money, do I have anything else to say about that? Don't think so. I'm checking my note here. Yeah, pretty much. So credit card company, they offer you this incentive, but the incentive is because they want you to fuck up and they want you to end up in this hole. That's how they make money. So don't let them win. Here we go. Let's go and move on to our next category. I can't bolt. Oh well. So that was spending money. Now, what else do we do with our money? You don't want to just spend it all. When your paycheck comes in, we don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. We want to take some of that money and put it somewhere. So my advice is treat your savings like a mandatory bill each month. Find a value that works for you. Let's say your salary is like 80K. That means you get about $4,000 a month after tax. Just put 1,000 of that into your savings investing account. Just do it as soon as your paycheck comes in, and only consider the money in your checking account spendable. So that's a good way that works for me. Find a way that works for you. Now, where do we put that money? What do we do with our money? Well, there's a few things. Let's close the credit card thing. First thing is checking accounts. This is one place you're going to put your money. So what's a checking account? Well, it's just a normal ass bank account that you spend your money out of. So let's look at Scotiabank's ones. This is mine here. Scotiabank says, for this checking account, I'm going to charge you $31 a month. What the fuck? So just to hold my money, I'm giving them the privilege of holding my money, and they're going to charge me $31 a month. Horrible. But there's a star here. It says there's no fee as long as I park 6,000 in there. So I basically have to put 6,000 in, never touch it unless I want to close this account. It's going to generate me nothing. It's going to sit there unusable. But at least I don't pay any money on this account. So that's what I'm doing. It's not a horrible idea. There's some benefits of this package. That's why I do it. But generally, it's kind of a shit deal because you're just basically minus 6,000. Of course, the other account, like this one, is only 4,000 for this one. But yeah, if you're going to have one of these 4 fee accounts, generally you want to do this. Otherwise, you're just bleeding money, which is a bad idea. If you're still a student, you can get this free one, but it has some requirements. So that's checking account. At least that's this checking account. I'll show you another one that I also use that's much better. Let's go over here. So I do use Scotiabank, but I also use Wealthsimple. It's an online investing brokerage. This one's really good. I would personally recommend it. If you end up wanting to try it, then let me know because we can do a referral thing so you get a small money back. Anyways, this place also offers a checking account. So this one gives interest back. It has no monthly fee, even if you only put $1 in. There's no this thing that requires me to put 6,000. So no monthly fee, no requirement to have my money in there, and they're going to pay me interest. 2% interest, by the way, same like our credit card example. That's $200. If I have 10,000 in my savings account, that means I get $200 for free every year. So getting $200 for free every year is a lot better than getting 0 like I do in this one. So yeah, shop around there's lots of different banks, there's lots of different credit unions, online brokerages that have things like this. Personally, I recommend this one. It's very popular, it's a safe one, and I like their features like this. So that's checking account. And this checking account actually doubles as a savings account. So what's a savings account? Well, in the old style bank, let's look at Scotiabank again. They have this product called savings accounts. This one here, Scotia High Interest Savings Account. Wow, high interest, must be great. Let's open it. So for one thing, this doesn't even exist yet. It's coming later this year. And look at their high interest, 0. Really high, guys, thanks. If you have 10K, they'll give you 1%. If you have 100K, they'll give you 1.75. Like, finally down here, it gets to a better number. So yeah, this product doesn't even exist yet, and they still give a lower interest rate than my checking account over here. So generally, big bank savings accounts suck ass. And by the way, this is a product that doesn't even exist yet. Let's open the current Scotiabank savings account. They give 0.4%. You call that a savings account? Even if I meet all these stupid things we don't want to read, we only get 0.5%. If I want to lock my money for a whole year, they're still going to give me less than 1%. Pretty bad. So don't recommend the big bank savings accounts because, just as an example, let's say my 10,000. Oops. If I'm getting 0.4% interest, that's $40 a year. Now that's better than 0, but $40 a year is pretty bad on my 10K. When the other one gives me 200. So don't recommend using this. Savings account. Losing my flow here. Okay. So right, so the benefit of savings account, savings account generates interest 2%-ish. is a good number to look for in 2026. The interest that's good will change depending on the situation. For example, after COVID, if you remember, the Bank of Canada kept pumping the interest rate up because they're trying to stop inflation. They pumped it up to like 4% or something. It was really high. When the interest rate is really high, that's good if you're saving money because your bank's interest rate is going to be higher too. If you have a mortgage, the interest rate being really high is bad because then you're paying lots of money. And the same is the reverse. If the interest rate's low, it's not that great for your savings because you're getting less money. But if you have a mortgage, your mortgage is really cheap. So that's kind of the plus and minus of that. So Bank of Canada controls that. Yeah, their target is like 2%. So ideally should hover around there. So the other benefit of this is that it's guaranteed risk-free. So the only way that you're going to lose your money in the savings account is if the bank goes out of business. And if the banks start going out of business, the world's on fire. So we're not too worried about our money in that case. So yeah, at least in Canada, the banks are relatively safe. Just make sure you research what bank you're using. Don't use some random, like if you see some scam video online, it's like, look, come to this place, it's so good, and then you lose all your money. Don't get scammed. But generally, the big banks in Canada are very safe. Yeah, so pretty much risk-free. What's the downside of putting all my money in a savings account? Opportunity cost. This means I could be getting even more. So of course, putting it here, getting my 2% is much better than doing nothing with it. Getting 2% is better than getting 0. But you can get much more. How do we get more? Well, let's go look at something. Investing. Investing your money can get you a lot more than just the 2%. What is investing? It's buying stocks. So that's not all of what it is, but that's the idea. Or just anything that's worth money that you think will increase in value over time. The goal is to resell it later for more than you bought it. Right? So a lot of things can be an investment. A house can be an investment. Hopefully your house price goes up over time so that when later on you can sell it for more than you bought it. That's the goal. So what is stocks? Kind of you just own part of a company or a group fund, and in exchange, when that company or fund grows, your money also grows. Okay? So that's the general idea. What's the negative of investing? Savings cannot lose money, but investing, it is possible to lose money. So that's the negative. However, over a long period of time, let's say 5 years, 10 years, 40 years, you are basically guaranteed, if you invest smartly, to gain a lot of money. In shorter terms, it can be quite risky. Let's say 1 week, 3 months, even 1 or 2 years. So the longer you can be patient, the safer it is, basically. So how does the risk work? Let's say I invest 10K. But why am I investing? It's because I have some goal for that money. When do I need to take that money out is important for my risk assessment. For example, if my goal is to retire and I'm 20 years old, I will be investing that money for 40 plus years even. In that case, we can go high risk and not worry about it. We'll talk about what high risk means though, because you can't just invest in anything, but as long as you invest smartly, here, let's put smartly, and not worry about it. So we'll see examples of this. But let's say if my goal is to retire and I'm 55 years old, now I need to be careful. If in 5 years I need to start taking that money out, if it happens to go down right at that 5-year point, I'm fucked, right? So that's bad. So in this case, we need to invest in something much lower risk. Potentially even just a savings account if it's short term and you really can't afford to lose the money. Similarly, if buying a home in 2 years, you don't want 2 years to pass, you need to pay the down payment and your investment went down and you're fucked, right? It's a bad thing. So you have to understand your time horizon. How long am I investing this money for? And each of those, groups of money that you're investing, put them in the appropriate vehicles. So let's see some examples of investing. Let's go see Apple stock. Everyone knows Apple. So guess what? Apple, it looks like it was listed in 1986 for 11 cents. Apple in 1986, 11 or $0.11 per stock. Okay. Let's buy 100. That's $11. We're investing $11 in Apple in 1986. All right. It's now 2026. It's worth 274. So how many? That's like what? 40 years? Fuck. 40 years later. Now my 100 stocks are worth 100 times 274. $27,000 fucking dollars. So I invested $11. I waited 40 years, did nothing, and now I have $27,000. So as a fun example, let's take my $11 and let's invest it, in a savings account times 1.02, that's 2%, for 40 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Something like that. I don't know if I did that enough. Here, let's just do a couple more. You get the idea. After 40 years, in my savings account, that $11 would have become $25. Fucking worthless, right? So why do we not just use savings account? Why do we invest? For this reason. $11 become $27,000 or $11 become $25. That's the difference here. Now, this is Apple stock. This is an outlier. These big tech companies, they obviously got extremely lucky where, this happened. This is not a normal graph. It's similar for basically all of the tech companies. Let's look at Amazon. You can see Amazon, right? It's the same idea. But guess what? We can't go back in time, so we can't go back and buy them when they were worthless. Unlucky. You can still buy them. You can see they still do go up. Like since 2023, it's doubled, more than doubled. So they're still probably good investments. But you want to know what the negative is? Well, first, let's look at a middle case. Let's look at Scotiabank stock. This is a more reasonable one. You can see this graph is much more stable, just slowly going up over time. Still, if we do some calculator stuff here, take Scotiabank as a more tame example. If we invest, buy 100 stocks in 1995, 100 stock for $6 each equals $600 in 1996, let's say. Today, that's 30 years later, we'd have, what, 100 times 105 equals, oh my god, 10K or something? I'm going to just do this. Yeah, it's 10K. Okay, so here in 30 years, we turned our 600 into 10,000. That's quite good. It's not as crazy as the Apple example, but it's still very good. It's much better than our $25 example. Now, as a third example, I think I already have this one open. Let's look at Ubisoft. It's a game company, if you don't know. These guys, looks like they went public in 2019. And they started quite high. Look at them. They're doing great. Let's say Ubisoft example. Let's buy 100 times, what's it worth, $68? Let's buy 100 at $68. That's $6,800 invested in 2019. Today, it's worth $460. So we invested $6,800 and now we have $460. So this is the downside of investing. This can happen. You just lost all your money, right? So we do not want to lose all our money. So what do? We just buy Apple, right? No. We can't know. So it is important to look at the historical graph of each thing you're buying. It's like, if this guy did really well historically, then there's a good chance he'll do well in the future, right? Sure, that's a decent thing to think. But you can't know, right? Who the fuck knows what's going to happen in the future to this company? What if they have one crazy CEO, does something stupid, and ruins the company? It can happen anytime. So investing in individual stocks is always going to be risky. There's no way around it. Some are safer than others. Scotiabank is an example. Or there's too many examples, but you get the idea. Some are safer than others, but in general, I would basically never invest in any single company, no matter what, unless you're just having fun. You're just gambling the money, because that's what it is, really, is it's gambling. So what do we do then? So to protect ourselves against individual stocks being unstable, what can we do? Well, let's just invest in everything. The market as a whole is going to be quite stable. Okay? So this is the answer, if we want to be safe. Because if the whole stock market blows up, then the world's on fire, and once again, we don't care about our money anymore. And we'll see some examples of that too. In fact, let's look at it right now. Wait, so just for fun, so how do we do this though? How do we invest in everything? Well, do we go buy one stock of every company in the world? You absolutely can. That's a valid strategy, but that's too tedious, of course. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to get another company to do it for us. Okay. Let's look at this one. So S&P 500, you may have heard of this before. This is an index. It tracks the top 500 US companies, basically. Okay. So this is basically an average of those 500 US companies. So instead of just buying Apple, I'm buying 500 different companies. So if one of them blows up, we don't care. It'll just be a blip in our graph. So this is the answer here. This is just one index. So we'll see some other ones as we go here. But you can see, starting back from like 30 years ago, it just slowly goes up. There's some little bumps, but They just come back. It keeps on going. So this is the kind of graph we want to see. We start small, and our money is going to slowly go up, and then we retire. Okay, that's the goal. So let's look at some of the blips for fun. Look at this right here. It went down quite a bit. What happened there? Do you know what happened in like March of 2020? That's when it hit the bottom here. That was COVID. So COVID happened. The world blew up. Look, in 2020 it's worth 3,300. It dropped by like a third, down to 2,300. But guess what? February 2020, 3,300. August 2020, 3,300. Even from COVID, it took no time at all to recover. That's half a year. So when these things happen, when this value drops, what do? Nothing. Don't sell your fucking stocks. In fact, if you have any cash, you might want to buy more because it's on discount right now. Well, at this kind of time. Because guess what? If you can afford to wait a few months, it's going to go right back up, and then it's going to keep on climbing. Look at this pit right here. Do you know what happened in April 2025? Well, Trump said something stupid. It went down. Went down by 1,000. Holy fuck. But guess what? It went right back up a couple weeks later. So the idea is when we're dealing with this, we don't panic. This is kind of a set and forget thing. You buy in and you just let it roll until you're nearing the time you have to take it out. Now, let's say if I was retiring or if I'm buying a house right before COVID hits, if I had to take my money out in March or April 2020, that would suck because you're just losing tons of money, right? You don't lose money until you sell. And so if I had to sell here, that's bad because I just lost a lot of money. So this is when you have to consider what's the time horizon on your investment. If you need the money soon, don't put it in even things like this. There's so many different things you can invest in. This is a great option, but not for short term. Okay, so that's that. Let's also look at this. You may have heard of mutual funds. So Scotiabank, for example, offers mutual funds. It's common with big banks. What's a mutual fund? Well, a whole bunch of people who are Scotiabank customers all buy this thing, and Scotiabank invests your money for you. So they're just investing for you. They're going out and buying stocks with your money, and they don't tell you about it, but they just give you back a percentage of the money that they get back. So let's look at some, for an example. Let's go to balanced funds. There's many different ones because they're different risk levels, basically. But something I want to point out, and the reason why I do not recommend mutual funds, is this MER percent. MER means management expense ratio. So what's happening is we give our money to Scotiabank. They're going to go and invest in things, and they're not going to do that for free. It's their job. So they're going to take a percentage. So they're taking 2%. We can see here. So you put your money in, they immediately take 2% of it every year. And then if their investment's successful and it goes up, then you get the gain minus the 2%, right? If their investment sucks and it goes down, you lose and you also lose the 2%. So not to say that this is a terrible idea. The mutual funds will generally go up, just like the graph we saw. So it's probably going to be better than a savings account. You're probably going to get more than 2% in the end, even after the fee. But why are you paying a 2% fee when it's not necessary? And I'll show you why it's not necessary. Okay, so we don't want this Scotiabank mutual fund, get rid of that. So what do we want? Well, there's a lot of things you could want. I'll just show you one example here. So there's a couple of companies that are basically, what do we call them? What is BlackRock? It's an investment company, okay? So BlackRock is one example. Vanguard is another example. There's a couple of these. These are two really big ones, so generally they're pretty safe to go with. XEQT is one example of a BlackRock product. This is just like a stock. So I can see the history of XEQT here. If I bought the stock called XEQT, this is the graph for it. It's only since 2019, but it started at $19. Now it's at $40. So in 7 years, it doubled. That's excellent. That's kind of what we want, is to double in 7 years. So nice steady graph with a little COVID dip and a little Trump dip over here, probably. Yeah. So what is this thing, though? Well, it's called an ETF. That's exchange traded fund. Exchange traded fund. Basically, it's exactly that S&P thing I was showing you. If I go to their website right here, we can see exactly what this thing is. So if I scroll down a little, there's a whole bunch of information. If you don't want to get that deep into it, you don't have to. One thing I want to point out is the fees for this ETF. If I buy this ETF, I'm basically giving BlackRock my money and they're investing it for me, right? That's essentially what's happening. How much are they charging me for it? 0.2%. So remember the Scotiabank one was 2%. So these guys, Scotiabank is charging 10 times as much as these guys. So mutual funds, generally, this is why they lose, is because their fees are so high. The fee here is almost nothing. Tells us our risk indicator for this one in particular, XEQT. It's a medium risk one. So what's actually inside XEQT? Because it's an amalgamated thing. Basically, they invest in a whole bunch of different things for you, right? Well, inside is $3.8 billion in this thing, $3.6 billion in this thing, $3 billion in this thing, and so on. So what are these things? Well, fuck, we don't want to go research each one. It's too much, right? So in the end, it's a kind of a rabbit hole to go down. Just find somewhere you trust to find which things are recommended. This is a very popular one, as you can see by the values. There's billions of dollars invested in this thing. It's a very popular ETF. But if you want to know exactly what's in it, well, let's scroll down a little bit more. You can get a bit of a better idea. Exposure breakdowns by geography. If I buy XEQT, basically 41% of that is in US stocks, 26% in Canadian stocks, and so on. So it's basically, what is this thing? It's a globally diversified stock portfolio with a focus on US and Canada. And if I click asset class, it says it's all equity. So equity means basically stocks and companies and things like this. Generally, all equity is considered more risky. So there's other ones as well. So if for example, if I'm retiring in 40 years, this is a good option. If I'm retiring in less time, there's other things. Let's look at VGrow, for example. So this is another company, Vanguard, that I mentioned. The graph's basically the same, right? They started in 2018 at $24. Now it's $44. Here's the little COVID. Here's the little Trump thing. It's the same shit. So what's this one? Well, this one is like 80% equity and 20% lower risk investment. So the balance there means that if some dip hit, it hits you less hard. That's the idea there. So that's the gist of this. So yeah, what level of gains should we target? If we look at S&P 500 as an example, averaged over its lifetime of like 30 or 40 years or whatever, it's about 10% annually. So if you make 10% in a year, that's really good, actually. This is very good. Because remember, our savings account's giving us 2% annually. So we kind of want to get somewhere in this area. Even if I got like 5%, I'd be quite happy, right? So the only thing to remember is this is an average. That means some years it's going to be a lot higher than 10%. Some years it's going to be negative. So when you're doing this kind of thing, it has to be for a longer time period. Okay? So that's kind of our goal there. I'm just thinking here. We did this already. All right, let me log into something here. Okay. Oh, we did this one as well. Okay. So This is my Wealthsimple account. So I'll just show you here. I started investing in this in October 2020. And you can see I started way down here. And then over time, it keeps going up, 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 up. So how did it keep going up? Well, like I mentioned earlier, I treated my savings like a bill. I don't know where I wrote that, right here. Every month I just put some in from my paycheck before I spent it. And in addition to that, we're also growing, right? Because it's invested. So I'm putting more, deposit more, and it's going up, 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 up. So that's the goal here. You'll see a big drop here. That's because I paid down payment on my home. And then here, another down payment on the home, or a deposit on our home. So those are those big drops. And then you see this big jump. That's when I lost my job and I got my severance pay. So 3 months pay all at once. Great. But except for those jumps, just slowly goes up over time. So this is kind of what we want to see. So this is an example of me doing the exact strategy we've just been talking about for the past 6 years. So recommend to use something like ETFs. Find a respected source who can recommend things based on your risk levels, desired risk levels. Okay. Now that we know what to invest in, how do we do it and where? Well, any bank or brokerage or whatever is going to have some investing platform for you to use, like Scotiabank has one. But they're all going to have different benefits. Personally, I recommend Wealthsimple. They basically have no fees on anything right now. I've been using them since 2020, and it's been great since then. You just deposit your money in here. You buy the stocks. As long as you're buying Canadian. Oh yeah. Most places charge more to invest in non-Canadian stocks. But what is a Canadian stock? Well, we can invest in Canadian stocks that still expose us to US market, global market, etc. very easily. This is just those things we talked about, like VGRO, XEQT. ETFs are amalgamations of stocks hosted by big companies like Vanguard or BlackRock. They invest for us and then post the ETF on Canadian Stock Exchange. This way, we can invest in the Canadian one for free. So at least with Wealthsimple, if I buy XEQT as an example, it doesn't cost me anything. I just buy it. If I buy it through Scotiabank, to be fair, I haven't used it in years, but at least when I used it in the past, they charge you money for every time you're buying something, which is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Why am I paying money to buy something? It isn't, yeah. Anyway, so I definitely recommend something like this because it's totally free. Obviously, except for the cost of the actual thing you're buying, which it's mandatory. Yeah. So now that we're here, let's say we're using this one because that's what we're looking at right now. In Wealthsimple, you can see I have this checking account. That's the thing I mentioned earlier. We get 2% something. Great. I have a credit card here too. Great, whatever. So let's look at this one down here. Non-registered. What's non-registered? A non-registered account is basically a standard investing account where I can buy stocks within it. I would deposit money into my account and then buy stocks. So everything that we've talked about applies to this non-registered one. But guess what? In this non-registered account, how much money do I have? Zero, actually. There's $0 in here. I don't use it. no need to use a normal account unless you have too much money. Why? Because Canada gives us government benefits in the form of tax advantaged accounts. Let's say that. Start with TFSA. The benefit of a TFSA equals tax-free savings account is that you pay $0 on your gains. Ah, fuck, we didn't explain gains yet. Okay, let's go back a step first. So if I'm in my non-registered account, let's say I invest $10 in Apple. It grows to $10,000. I'm going to check my phone quickly. Okay, we're good. If I sell it at $10,000, I pay tax on the gains. The gains is 10K minus $10 equals $99.90, right? How does the tax work? Well, in Canada, we also have another benefit called capital gains tax. We only pay tax on 50% of our capital gains. There's some other rules around this, but in general, we pay 50%, okay? This means that, let's say my salary is 80K. Let's say my salary is 80K. Then my total income for the year that I pay tax on would be 80K plus 9990 divided by 2. So let's just say that's 85K, right? Because I'm paying tax on my income plus my capital gains divided by 2. So that's about 5K. So hopefully that makes sense. So the tax you're paying, we pay the capital gains tax when we submit our income taxes each year. So it's just treated as income, though. It's like you made 85K instead of 80K. Actually, you made 90K, though, but we're only getting taxed on half. So that's good. This is a good thing. But we can do even better than this. Why do we want to pay tax on this 5K? We don't have to. We can use TFSA. So with TFSA, if I sold my 10K gains, I don't pay any tax at all. You don't have to fill any forms, you don't have to do anything. You can just take the money out. You can withdraw money from the TFSA at any time with no penalty. It's very simple. What's the downside? Actually, nothing. There's no downside to TFSA, so I recommend this for sure. Like, put all your money that you're investing in your TFSA. The sort of downside is that it has a limit. So I think I have this open here somewhere. TFSA contribution limit. So it's based on when you were born. Basically, Canadian government every year, they'll say TFSA limit is going to go up by 6,000 this year. And that just adds on to your previous limit. So it keeps rolling up, right? So for example, we can see in 2026, my limit is 109,000. In 2027, it's 116,000. Every year it's going to go up a bit. So what's the limit mean? I can only put this much money in, okay? But of course, this limit's quite high. So it's, at least for if you're young and starting out. If you're born later, like year 2000, of course it's lower. The other thing to remember is, in case you've already been using this, if you've already put money into your TFSA, let's say my limit is 109,000, If I've already put in 55,000, well, of course that reduces the limit because, you know, that's the point of the limit. It's a lifetime limit and it just slowly keeps growing. But as I put money in, I've already used part of that limit. And of course, that's the max, for me at least. Yeah, in general, if you haven't reached your limit yet, put all your money in here. It's great. If you over contribute over the limit, you will get a small penalty based on how much over. To ensure this doesn't happen, once you near your limit, just wait until you do taxes each year. When you submit your tax to CRA, they will tell you your new yearly limit of TFSA. Okay? So they're going to tell you every year. So it's easy to not fuck it up. Just don't put more than they tell you for that year. Yeah. So that's TFSA. Pretty simple. If you withdraw money from your TFSA, your limit increases by the amount of the withdrawal. So for example, if I withdraw 50K this year, I can put 50K back in. But not until next year. It's based on calendar year. So this is another small catch you have to be aware of. If I withdraw 50K in 2025, I have to wait till 2026 to put it back in. That's assuming I'm at my limit. If I'm not at the limit, I can still put more in, right? Yeah. Just follow the whatever CRA tells you. It's pretty straightforward. Because they will automatically be calculating the withdraw and deposits for you. It's all automatically done. Okay, so that's TFSA. Definitely recommend this. You don't have to open one for your limit to start increasing. It's just based on when you're born, so that's nice. Next, let's do RRSP. So for RRSP, damn, we're already nearly an hour, fuck. RRSP equals registered retirement savings plan, probably. So this account is also tax advantaged and much better than an unregistered account, but it's slightly more complicated. So let me find my notes here, what I put last time. Where's my RSP stuff? Yeah, so basically it's similar to TFSA, but it's calculated differently. For the limit, RSP also has a limit. CRA will also tell you this each year. The RSP limit is based on your income. So it's a rolling limit, just like TFSA. It'll only increase over your lifetime, but it's based on how much money you made each year will increase your limit by that much. So yeah, let me just copy this example because I liked this. So we're just going to cheat here and use my previous example. Let's say I make 80K this year. I pay, oh right, we got to go to the tax bracket, fuck. Here it is. Let's say I make 80K this year. Calculate. So if I make 80K, I get taxed, right? Here's my federal tax, here's my provincial tax, here's my CPP and EI. I'm paying 20K in taxes. So after tax in my pocket, I'm getting 60K. All right. So how does this actually work though? Well, let's only look at the federal tax to not complicate things. Just for the federal tax portion, my first 60K or 57K is 14.5% tax ratio rate. If I make 80K, that means the next 23K is getting taxed at this amount. Okay. So my highest 23K is this much, and my lowest 57K is this much. And you combine those to get your average tax rate. Oh, this is including the provincial one. That's why it's higher. Okay. So we pay this 57K times the 14.5 rate in tax plus the 22K times 20.5% in tax. So that's your total. The RRSP benefit is based on tax. So let's say I contribute 10K to my RRSP this year out of my 80K income. Now my taxable income is reduced by 10K. That means you only get taxed as if you made 70K that year. Okay. So basically your RRSP contributions are shaving off your highest top piece of income, right? So the higher your tax bracket, the more benefit you get from this. So assuming I'm in this tax bracket here, 20%, when I do my income taxes for that year, I'll get a refund of about $2,000 for putting 10K in. That's really good, right? You put 10K in your RRSP, you get $2,000 back. That's excellent. So the downside of this is that 10K you put in is sort of locked until you retire. It's not actually locked. You can take it out anytime you want, but the year you take it out, it will be counted as income. So I have more of my previous example. Let's just use this to cheat. To gain the maximum benefit from this, you want to take it out on a year when your income is low. And you want to put it in during a year when your income is high. So if I'm, making lots of money, let's say I'm somewhere in here, I'm getting taxed at 26%. That sucks. Well, let's put a bunch of money in my RRSP to cut money out at this rate. That's really good. I'm getting a big benefit from that. Now, let's say I become old and I quit my job because I'm retiring. Now my income is zero. Well, I can take out $57,000 and they'll only charge me this much in tax. So there's a big gap there, right? I'm saving the money at this rate and I'm pulling it out at this rate. So I'm making quite a bit of a gain there. So that's what the goal of this account is: invest into it when you're at a high income, take it out when you're at a low income. That's how you get the maximum benefit from RRSP. Okay. So let's move on. TFSA, RRSP. And yeah, so just to clarify as well, RRSP does not need to be used for retirement. It's called a retirement account because that's what it's designed for, but you can, it just works like this. There's no requirement to retire. You can take it anytime you want, but it's going to count as income. So that's why it's better to take it out when you don't have a job, or when you don't have income for that year, rather. I'm just going to keep cheating and use my old notes. So next we're going to look at FHSA. Okay. FHSA, First Home Savings Account. This is currently the best account you can use, all right? It gets the benefits of TFSA and RRSP combined, but of course there's a catch. The catch is you can only spend this money on your down payment for your next, or for any home. It doesn't have to be a new home. It's just new to you. So when you withdraw from the FHSA, you pay no taxes at all, just like the TFSA. When you contribute to an FHSA, you reduce your taxable income by the contribution amount, just like the RRSP. So you'll get a big refund that year. So that's the benefit of this account. You win on both ends. What else did I want to say about this? Right. So it's called First Home Savings Account, but it doesn't actually have to be your first home. I'd have to double check the exact rules, but I believe as long as you haven't owned or lived in a home that you owned in the last 5 years, you're allowed to use this account. So if you intend to ever buy a home in the future and you fit the requirements of this account, you should absolutely be using this account because it's a huge benefit. Let's take my old notes again here. So if you never end up buying a home, you can still take it out, so it's not like you lose the money, but it gets added to your RRSP instead, and there might be some small tax penalty you need to pay. But it's not the end of the world. Oh, and the other catch is it has a limit, just like everything else. The limit right now is you can put in $8,000 per year, and the limit is rolling. So if I don't contribute the full $8K, for example, then it will carry over to the next years. The lifetime limit, at least right now, is $40K. So for basically, if I put in $8K for 5 years, that's $40K, right? And then I'm at the limit. So the nice thing about this account is my gains are not taxed. I get a refund on my taxes, and it's just the same as any other investing account. I can go into my account, put money in there, and invest in XEQT or whatever else we're investing in, right? Great. Last one I'll quickly show you just as an example is RESP. You guys don't really need this because it's for if you have a kid, but this is a registered education savings plan. So Robin School Money is what I called it. I'm just showing an example of what I've done here. So you can see for this account, I put in $2,500 and when Robin was born. I invested it in these stocks here. The benefit of this account is the government gives you a grant. So if I put in 25, they'll give me 5. That's why I did that. Of course, that 5, I take it and I put it into the same stocks again. And this is it. You invest and you let it roll. So what happens while it's rolling? Let's take a look. You can see here in September I made $4. In October I made $4. January I made $8. So this is all dividends. So we can see if I open this one. Many stocks will pay dividends as one of the forms that they make you money, right? So XEQT, it says they're paying me 20 cents per share, and I have 39 shares. 39 times 20 is $8. Okay. So this is just one of the ways that it makes me money. They pay you some dividends. The other way is, of course, just the stock increasing, right? So here right now is, I guess let's click this. You can see in August 2025, it was worth $3,000. I haven't touched it. Now it's worth $3,300. So it already grew by 300 in 5 months or something. So that's a 10% gain in 5 months. That's really good, actually. So that's not typical. You're not always going to get 10% in that short of a time. So don't have that expectation. Of course, this number doesn't matter because the gains are all fake until you take the money out, right? And I'm not taking this money out for like 18 years. So yeah. It's fun to look at, though. So there's that. So what else can we talk about here? Line of credit. This is not really related to investing, but I want to mention something about it. Let me just double check my notes here. Oh, right. I wanted to mention this too. Sure. Let's talk about this first. When you get a job, they're probably going to offer you RRSP matching. Most bigger companies or even medium-sized companies do this. Okay. So what is this? So let's use my company as an example. They say if I contribute 4% of my paycheck to the work RRSP, they're also going to contribute 2%. All right. That means every paycheck I lose 4%. I don't lose it though. It gets contributed to my RSP, and I get the usual benefits for that, like we just described earlier. But my company gives me an extra 2%. So it's kind of like I'm getting 102% of my paycheck, right? But that extra 2% is also contributed to my RSP for me. And we also get the benefits of the RSP for that as well, right? So this is just free money. You want to do this whenever your job offers it. The only reason you would not want to do this is if you're like really desperate for money and you can't afford to put that 4% in or something. Except for that, you absolutely want to take this offer because it's just free money. Also, usually you can enter or exit the plan anytime you want. So, if you need the money later, you can just exit the plan and stop contributing. And even whenever you quit your job, you can just transfer the company RSP to your personal one for free. So it's just a good deal. Always accept that when you can. So let's do the line of credit example. What's a line of credit? It's basically like a credit card. You should treat it similarly. So do not use this money unless you can pay it back, because it's a loan. So what's the benefit of this? Usually has less than credit card interest rate. So in my example, my credit card is 20% interest rate. My line of credit is only like 5%. Okay. So obviously losing 5% is better than losing 20%. We don't want to lose anything, but if we have to lose, then we want to lose this. So when do we use this? Well, if you're in an emergency and have no money, you can take it out as a loan and just pay it back whenever you can. But remember, you're bleeding 5% on it, so don't take too long. Alternatively, if you have a loan with a worse rate, you can transfer it to the LOC. So let's say, for example, I somehow screwed up and I have $2,000 debt on my credit card. Why am I paying 20% interest? Instead, take $2,000 out of the LOC and pay off the credit card. Now you're just paying 5%. It's easier to pay it off. Or let's say I bought a car. The car's loan is like 7% interest. Well, just put it on the LOC for less interest, right? Now you're only paying 5% instead of 7%. So that's the idea there. I think we're good to retire, so let's retire. So retirement, we won't go too deep, but we just have to do a little bit into it because we need to plan for this so that we don't become homeless and be a drug addict. We've all seen the homeless drug addicts. We don't want to become one. So luckily, Canada helps us out quite a bit here, but we can't totally rely on that. So let me start dumping my old notes again. So Canada's benefits are OAS, that's Old Age Security, and GIS, Guaranteed Income Supplement. Everybody gets these. It might be reduced if your income's high, whatever, but we all get these. But it's a really low number. You can't live off this stuff. Okay, it won't even pay your rent. We also have CPP. That's Canada Pension Plan. So if you have a job, check your pay stub. You're paying this. It's basically forced investing. It's a good thing because it helps prevent more homeless people. Technically, if you're investing smartly, you can probably do better than the CPP. But a lot of people fuck it up and the CPP saves them. So that's why CPP is a good thing. Sure, we're being forced to invest into something that might be slightly worse than what we can do ourselves, but we can't fuck it up because somebody else manages it for us. So how it works is when you work, just like tax, it'll be taken off your paycheck every time. It's just another tax. You pay it automatically. Once you retire, you can there's some customization you can do with it to get more money out of it or less money out of it, and it'll basically pay you until you die. So it's great. How much it pays you is based on how much you contributed throughout your life. Okay, so let me grab some more stuff here. We only contribute when we work, so you want to work many years at a high salary to get the most CPP back when you retire. So the years is important and the salary level is important. These both matter. I think it's based on your highest, like 38 years or something. So let's say you work from 20 to 58, you could potentially have the highest amount of CPP, right? And of course, if you work less than that, you still get CVPs, you'll just get slightly less back. Do I have the CVP limit thing here? Let's quickly look at that too. CVP limit 2026. So it's also based on your salary, like I said. So for 2026, the limit is 85K. So in an ideal world, you want your salary to be at least 85K, because then you're getting the maximum benefit from the pension. You're not going to see the benefit till you retire at like age 60 or 65 or 70, but it's going to matter a lot for you in the future. So try to get a job that pays you somewhere up here. Obviously, the more the better, but this is a good goal to try and reach. If you're maxing your CPP, then there's a high chance you're going to be completely fine in retirement. So that's a good goal to have. Yeah, so when we retire, we're not working. That's the point of retiring. So if you're not working, you get no money. So how do we live? Well, your income comes from CPP, OAS, whatever, right? So we want to pump these as high as we can so we're safe. Let's say we live till 100. We don't want to run out of money at 90. If you run out of money at 90 and you live to 100, that means you're spending 10 years fucked. So that's why we want to max this as much as we can. Alternatively, we don't have to max this. We can just make our own money. Rely on your own savings. So that would be your RSP, TFSA, or whatever other savings you have, right? So because of this, you want to keep contributing to your RSP as much as you can so you can retire without worrying about being homeless or something. Let's grab some more stuff here. So to get the most benefit from RSP, you want to stagger the release of your RSP. So that means take money out each year such that you only hit the bottom tax bracket. So in 2026, I could take out 57K minus whatever other income I already got, right? So each year I would take out some amount of money from my RSP, which would count as income, and I want to get taxed on the bottom tax bracket, no more than that. Otherwise, we're just giving money back to the government. So there's other pension plans too. For example, if you work for federal government, they have their own pension plan. Similar to CPP, you pay money into it every paycheck, and when you retire, they'll pay you until you die. It's great. So if you had like this one plus this CPP one, then that might even be enough. You don't have to save anything because you'll still be making tons of money, even without a job. So in general, you want to set a goal though. What do you want to do with your money when you retire? Some people will say they want to die with zero. That would mean you only need to save enough to last you until your last breath. This way, you can spend more freely during your life. But some people might want to leave their kids some money, right? So this means they save more so they don't have to take it out during retirement. If you want to do this, then you got to pump your RRSP more or whatever else you're pumping. The benefit of this strategy is if you also end up in some bad situation or have some health issues or something that costs you a lot of money, you can dip into that 500K and save yourself or whoever needs saving, right? So it's a benefit of having extra money. So it's just ideal to have this even if you're already going to have some pension plan or something. Last thing we'll mention is make sure you trust where you're putting your money. If you're putting it in the bank, make sure it's a reputable bank. Don't just follow random, marketing videos and believe them because there's a lot of scams out there. Even if you're lending money to a friend or family or something, never expect it back. That's my advice. Only give what you can afford to give so you don't fuck yourself over. You don't want to end in a hole of debt and interest. Just about scams as well. Things like cryptocurrency. Hopefully you've heard of this by now. Everyone's heard about Bitcoin, for example. Let's look at Bitcoin. Look at this. If I invested in Bitcoin, look at this. Boom. It started, I mean, this is not even accurate. It says it started at 586. It's not true at all. It started at worthless. People used to give it away for free on the internet because it was a funny internet thing. It wasn't even a real thing before this time. But look at this. Boom. It goes up to 70K. Boom, it drops to 20K. Boom, it goes up to 80K. Oh, it drops to 70K again. Up to 150K. Down to 100K. Up to 160K. Down to 90K now. This is a mess. But let's be honest, if you invested in it back here, you're fucking rich, right? Well, assuming you didn't take it out here or here or here, right? But the point is, it's a real thing. It's not a scam. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is a very volatile investment, right? And this is Bitcoin specifically. So this is like the most popular one. So it's very volatile. My advice is only do it for fun if you're going to do it at all. I don't have anything in crypto myself. I'd like to try it if I had more money, but maybe in the future. We have too many things we need to save for now. There's a lot of other cryptocurrencies too, though, and most of them are scams. Like look at the Trump one, for example. Even the U.S. president can scam people, right? Don't fall for random things like that, because there's a lot of them. I think that's pretty much everything. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll just end it there. There's a lot more about retirement, but I sent my dad a huge email about it. If you're interested in that, I can forward that. So that's enough for this video. Bye.